Are you coming to the tree where they strung up a man, they say murder 3? Strange things that happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree.
Welcome to Strange Things, broadcasting from the Raimundo Rios Mayo Library in Arkanasa. Welcome to Strange Things. I'm your host, Chris James. Helps if I turn my microphone on. This is Season 1, Episode 23, October 1st, 2016. Yes, it is already October. Time to drag those Halloween decorations out of hiding and put them back out where people can see them. And it's time to start stocking up on Halloween candy. You don't want those kids to go hungry. Tonight, we're going to be talking about sea monsters, creatures that live out in the oceans, in some of our larger lakes, things that have been seen by lots of people, but unfortunately a lot of the scientific community still pretends like they're not real. Sea monsters have been around since man first set sail on any large body of water. The sailors, naturally being superstitious, to begin with, have reported all kinds of beastly encounters. Some sea monsters are associated with the ocean, and others are seen on large bodies of fresh water, and then there are those that hang out on rivers and streams. I read an article in a magazine a few years ago, and the author was asking why the number of sea monster sightings was going down instead of going up. He said that with all the shipping going on and all the oceans and big lakes, the number of sightings should have been on the rise. Instead, it was on the decline. I would say that more than likely he wasn't familiar with modern shipping. Way back when sea monsters were being reported, ships were relegated to the efficiency of the crew on board. A crewman was stationed in the crow's nest, way up on the main mast, in order to watch for anything and everything the ship might run into or over. The guy on duty was highly motivated to do his best because if he did smash into something, he'd have to swim home like everyone else. As the ship approached land, men would be sent to watch for reefs and rocks, and thus they were stationed all along the gunwales and even out on the dolphin striker. That's that thing stuck off the front nose of a ship with pointy sails attached to it for those of you all that don't know about sailing. Lots of eyes looking for hazards, and so they would see creatures lurking near the surface. Today, on the other hand, ships plow through the ocean and lakes using radar and sonar to stay out of any danger. Anything not directly in the path of the ship would go unnoticed. No one is standing watch on the rail any longer. They don't even assign a man to keep an eye on the engine room. There's no one out on deck looking, so there's no one there to see the denizens of the deep. A friend of mine who did a lot of sailing, in fact he's sailed around the world on a number of occasions, he used to keep a box of dynamite on his little sailboat. He had the sticks cut in half, and whenever a large ship was coming his way, he would throw a stick of dynamite in the water and let it explode, and that was the only way he was ever able to get the attention of the men on board the big ships. Nowadays, a lot of sea monster sightings are coming from fishermen, mostly working around the small islands. So, here are some of the more popular creatures that have been seen. It just wouldn't be a sea monster event without talking about the ever-popular Loch Ness Monster. The earliest report of the monster, in the vicinity of Loch Ness, appears in the Life of St. Columba. According to Adamnan Irish monk St. Columba, was staying in the land of the Picts, we call it Scotland today, with his companions, when he encountered the local residents burying a man by the River Ness. They explained the man was swimming in the river when he was attacked by a water beast, which mauled him and drug him under the water. Although they tried to rescue him in a boat, he was well beyond anything they could do. Columba, not really believing these people at first, sent one of his associates down to swim across the exact same river. The beach came after him, but Columba, standing on the shore, where it was safe, made the sign of the cross and said, "Go no further, do not touch this man, go back at once." The creature is said to have stopped pursuing the man, looked like it was being pulled back by ropes, and then it fled. And Columba's men and the Picts gave thanks for what they perceived to be a miracle. Modern interest in the monster was sparked by a sighting on July 22, 1933, when George Spicer and his wife saw a most extraordinary form of animal, that's how they described it, crossing the road in front of their car. Up until 1933, there weren't any roads running anywhere close to the loch meaning lake in Scottish, so no one in a vehicle would ever see anything. But after 33, they had built several roads right alongside the lake, and thus people in cars were able to encounter the Loch Ness Monster. They described the creature as having a large body, about 4 feet high, and it was about 25 feet long. It was described as having a long, wavy, narrow neck, slightly thicker than an elephant's trunk, and as long as 10 or 12 feet, the width of the road. They saw no limbs. It lurched across the road towards the loch, which was about 20 yards away, leaving a trail of broken undergrowth as it went. In August 1933, a motorcyclist, Arthur Grant, claimed to have nearly hit the creature while approaching Aberchan, near the northeast end of the loch, at about 1 in the morning, and it was a moonlit night. According to Grant, it had a small head attached to a long neck. The creature saw him and crossed the road back into the lake. Grant, who was a veterinary student, described it as a cross between a seal and a plesiosaur. He said he dismounted and followed the creature down to the water, but all he saw were ripples. Okay, so folks spend all their time and money searching Loch Ness, using sonar and game cameras. They use binoculars to watch for signs of Nessie on the water. Then, when nothing is found, they declare the whole thing is a hoax. Remember, the thing has been seen on land on more than one occasion, crossing a road. This sounds like a creature that is at home on the land as well as in the water. So, when all those people are out there pinging away with their sonar, perhaps the Loch Ness Monster's hiding behind a tree, watching them. That world-famous photo of Nessie, which was admitted as being a toy submarine with a cutout creature, is touted by the naysayers as proof of non-existence. You can't really prove something does not exist, but that's a skeptic for you. Then there's the Dinsdale film. People say they spotted a boat pulling the fake creature through the water. Later, film enhancements have allowed investigators to see what looks like a giant body under the water. Now the film is being re-examined, and it's seen as a possible real creature sighting. However, it's not just Nessie that fascinates people. In Scotland alone, there are 23 other lochs where sightings of unknown creatures have been noted. They've also decided to record those where we can. If you'd like to examine more Loch Ness sightings, check out the official Loch Ness Monster Sighting Register at LochNessSighting.com. Until somebody actually finds Nessie washed up on the shore, we'll never know if it's real or not. We're going to take a brief pause here for a couple commercials. We'll be right back, so don't go away. You're listening to Arkanasa Radio. Do you have skin? Would you like to take better care of it? Call Lourdes James, independent beauty consultant, and set up an appointment. Call 723-3019. If your vision isn't what it used to be, and you're not sure you're seeing Bigfoot or just your neighbor mowing his lawn, stop on by Del Norte Optical, 107 Calle del Norte, just across the street from the Embassy Suites. You should be able to see what you're looking at. Looking for a great cup of coffee? Swing on by the Organic Man Coffee Truck, 1002 Eaterby Day, Suite number 7. Not a coffee drinker? They have hot chocolate, hot tea, and sometimes muffins and cookies. It's a great place to meet your friends for a conversation or curl up in the corner with a good book. The Organic Man Coffee Truck. Life is too short to drink bad coffee.
No, don't say goodbye. Stay with us. This is Arkanasa Radio. Quédate con nosotros. Estás escuchando Arkanasa Radio.
You're listening to Strange Things with Chris James. And welcome back. Don't forget, in just 2 weeks, the 15th anniversary Texas Bigfoot Conference kicks off. So don't hesitate to get your tickets now. Meet all the people you've seen on TV. Craig Woolheater, Ken Gerhart, Nick Redfern, Lyle Blackburn, and Dr. Jeff Meldrum, just to mention a few. October 15th in historic Jefferson, Texas. Make plans to attend. You don't want to miss out. So we were talking about the Loch Ness Monster, probably the most famous lake monster on the planet. Here in the United States, we have a guy called Champ. It's a name given to a legendary lake monster which resides in Lake Champlain, located along the Vermont, New York, and Canadian borders. Over the years, there have been over 300 reported sightings of Champ. Legends of the creature living in Lake Champlain date back to Native American tribes in the region. Both the Iroquois and the Abenaki spoke of such a creature. The Abenaki referred to it as Totoskoke. Samuel de Champlain, the founder of Quebec and the lake's namesake, is often claimed to be the first European to have sighted Champ back in 1609. Champlain is said to have documented a 20-foot serpent as thick as a barrel and a head like a horse. 1819 report in Plainsburg Republican entitled Cape Ann Serpent on Lake Champlain reports a Captain Crum sighted an enormous serpent monster. Crum estimated the monster to have been about 187 feet long and approximately 200 yards away from him. Despite the great distance, he claimed to have witnessed it being followed by 2 large sturgeon, or billfish, and was able to see that it had 3 teeth and eyes the color of peeled onions. He also described the monster as having a belt of red around its neck and a white star-shaped object on its forehead. 1883, Sheriff Nathan H. Mooney said that he had seen a water serpent about 20 rods from where he was on the shore. I don't know how long a rod is, but I imagine it might be around a yard. He claimed that he was so close that he could see round white spots inside the creature's mouth, and that the creature appeared to be about 25 to 30 feet in length. Mooney's sighting led to many more eyewitnesses coming forward with their own accounts of Champ. There's nothing like the sheriff saying that he had seen something to put people's minds at ease to come forward with their sightings. Now, in 1977, Sandra Mancy took a photograph while on vacation with her family that showed something sticking up out of the water. She clicked the photo of the lake, but never really took close observation of it. Later, she examined the image closer. You can see what looks like a head turned away from the camera, suspended on a long neck, and some of the body. She had no idea what was on the photograph until years later while looking through her albums. Unfortunately, for every witness willing to come forward and tell what they've seen, there are those who will claim the creature does not exist. Skeptics are motivated to deny everything not found in a lab as just hallucinations, mass hysteria, or hoaxers. Skeptics bow down at the altar of science, and anything that goes against their belief is considered a threat to their God. And then they wonder why people don't want to report their sightings. If you say you don't believe it because you've never seen one, go have a look. Maybe you'll see something that will change your mind. If, on the other hand, you say you don't believe it, period, that's about as scientific as phrenology. And what is phrenology? It was a scientific belief that you could figure out if a person was a criminal by examining the bumps on their head. It didn't work. When did science go from looking into unknown curiosities to ridiculing anyone who has a new thought? Champ is a lot closer to home, so if you're looking to investigate water monsters, there you go. Drive on up to Vermont. Ogopogo, or Naitaka, which translates to a lake demon, is the name given to a Nessie-like lake monster reported to live in Okanagan Lake in British Columbia, Canada. Ogopogo has been seen by First Nations people since the 19th century. The most common description of Ogopogo is a 40 to 50 foot long sea serpent. Jonathan and Andy Hillstrand of the Time Bandit, as seen on The Deadliest Catch, went looking for Ogopogo, but with all their vast fishing skills, they never were able to catch the beast. British cryptozoologist Carl Schuker has categorized the Ogopogo as a many-humped variety of lake monster and suggested it may be a kind of primitive serpentine whale, such as a Basilosaurus. Have you heard about the feet washing up along the banks of British Columbia? 6 so far. Mostly rights, but 1 or 2 lefts as well. Each foot was encased in a shoe and found by people out walking along the water's edge. Now, Campbell River is a long way from Lake Okanagan, but could there be a sea monster lurking in the area who has a taste for humans but just can't digest footwear? It's just a thought. 6 feet, all from different people, with no idea what happened or where the rest of the body are. We got a creature named Chessie, which is the inhabitant of Chesapeake Bay. Now, I've never heard of anything huge living in Falcon Lake, but then Falcon is a man-made body of water, just like Lake Casablanca. Here's a little-known fact. There is only one naturally occurring lake in the entire state of Texas. Caddo Lake is the only lake not built by man. All the others were formed by dams. Just a little something to think about. Now, Nessie, Champ, and all the other freshwater monsters are not credited with killing too many folks, but there have been some reported disappearances linked to these creatures. People have vanished without a trace and just may have been on the menu of one of these critters. The Makilio Mbembe is a water-based creature from the Congo River basin that some people believe to be a dinosaur. Makilio Mbembe means one who stops the flow of rivers in the Lingala language, Congo River basin folklore. Now, sometimes described as a living creature, and sometimes it's described as a spirit, Lucianologist to the Loch Ness Monster. In Western culture, it is claimed to be a sauropod by some cryptozoologists. In 2001, the Crypto Safari, in conjunction with the BCSCC, which was formed in 1989 by writer James A. Clark, a scientist named Dr. Paul LeBlanc, and a journalist named John Kirk, who just happens to be a good friend of mine, who I'll have to get on the show sometime soon. He is the member of the British Columbia Scientific Cryptozoology Club, better known as the BCSCC. Too many letters, too darn long. February 2001, in a joint venture, a research team traveled to Cameroon consisting of William Gibson, Scott Norman, and John Kirk, and a man named Robert Mueller. Their local guide was the resident expert who could get them in and out of the area they needed to go to. His name was Pierre Sima Nochegene. Hard name to pronounce. They were also accompanied by a BBC film crew. Unfortunately, no evidence of the Makilio Mbembe was found on that trip. Now, the book Discovering Cadborosaurus by John Kirk, Paul LeBlanc, and Jason Walton of the BCSCC is available to cryptozoology enthusiasts everywhere. They cover the search for and discovery of evidence of a river creature. A body was found, but then lost, but it is believed to have been the Cadborosaurus. Once again, a kind of a Nessie-looking thing, spotted all along the shoreline and on some rivers in British Columbia. Cadborosaurus is a generic name given to a variety of unknown serpentine cryptids found in British Columbia and adjacent coastal waters. Today it is their opinion that the designation should be used for the famous Naden Harbor carcass in 1937, which is indeed a true cryptid. In Japan, they have a creature called the kappa. Now, sometimes described as being hairy, and other times it's described as being covered with scales. The story goes that the kappa will hide out along streams and rivers and snatch away any unsuspecting children who wander too close to the water's edge. Now, there's a temple in Japan that claims to have the body of a kappa on display. It looks to me more like a dead monkey, but I am not a biologist. I don't know for sure what I'm looking at when I look at the picture. It doesn't mean that it's not what they claim. Perhaps it is a dead kappa, and the kappa just happened to look a bit like a monkey. They consider this creature as being sacred and as well as being legendary. Thus, the idea of getting a DNA sample is a non-starter. Jeremy Wade, the star of River Monsters, thinks the kappa might have been a giant salamander that is found in some locations in Japan. Now for the sea. During World War II, a cargo ship en route to the British Isles, bringing much-needed supplies, was hit by a torpedo and sunk. The crew scrambled over the side and then sought the relative safety of one of the life rafts they had thrown over the ship as it went down. 8 men managed to climb aboard the craft and watch as the rest of the convoy sailed away. No one was willing to come to their rescue, seeing as German U-boats were still in the area. The night was long and cold, and there they were in the North Atlantic. The men settled in to wait for rescue. Not much else they could do. With nothing to occupy their time, the men fell into an unrestful sleep, more to pass time than to renew their bodies. At some time during the night, the men were awoken by a blood-curdling scream. A quick check told the lieutenant in charge there were now only 7 men on the raft. Did one roll over, fall into the sea in his sleep? In the dark of the night, they strained to spot the missing man, calling out to him, but he was nowhere to be found. When daylight arrived, the men got busy waiting some more. The raft was 12 feet by 12 feet, and it was only stocked with minimal survival rations. And no one had a book or a radio, so all they could do is sit and wait. There they sat, waiting for a ship to come by. Nightfall found them in less than exuberant spirits. They settled in for another long, cold night. Once more, a scream brought everyone from their slumber, followed by a loud splash. The poor man had just time to reach a hand in the direction of his mates before being pulled down into the inky depths. Something had him. In the dark, with no idea as to what had snatched 2 of their fellow sailors from the raft, the men decided someone would have to stand, or at least sit, watch, to keep everyone as safe as possible. Armed with a knife, each man would take a turn guarding the others as they slept. This time, the sound of screaming brought them awake, but the guard was there, waking them to unknown danger. A huge tentacle was reaching up from the depths, then feeling about the raft for a morsel, said morsel being one of the men. Everyone tried to crowd to one side, away from the thrusting appendage, as it waved about, seeking its next meal. It latched onto the lieutenant's leg and encircled him. The lieutenant grabbed hold of his companions as the others stabbed at the monster with their knives, which looked kind of like toys next to the thing. With great effort, they managed to hold the officer and send the creature away with dozens of small wounds all along its length. The lieutenant's leg was bleeding, and he had hundreds of small lacerations, which, when examined in the light of day, radiated out in a circle about 6 inches across. When at long last the men were picked up by a passing destroyer, no one believed the story of the nocturnal giant squid that had taken their friends away. Everyone thought they had just spent too much time at sea and were having a bad effect of having their ship sunk. Even the wounds on the lieutenant's leg were written off as being caused by debris from the sinking ship. After a short time, the men simply stopped talking about it. Today, we know this creature as the Architeuthis, better known as the giant squid. And we're going to take a brief pause here. We'll be right back to tell you the rest of the story in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're listening to Arkanasa Radio. Do you have skin? Would you like to take better care of it? Call Lourdes James, independent beauty consultant, and set up an appointment. Call 723-3019. If your vision isn't what it used to be, and you're not sure you're seeing Bigfoot or just your neighbor mowing his lawn, stop on by Del Norte Optical, 107 Calle del Norte, just across the street from the Embassy Suites. You should be able to see what you're looking at. Looking for a great cup of coffee? Swing on by the Organic Man Coffee Truck, 1002 Ederby Day, suite number 7. Not a coffee drinker? They have hot chocolate, hot tea, and sometimes muffins and cookies. It's a great place to meet your friends for a conversation or curl up in the corner with a good book. The Organic Man Coffee Truck. Life is too short to drink bad coffee.
No, don't say goodbye. Stay with us. This is Arcanelza Radio. Quédate con nosotros. Estás escuchando Arcanelza Radio.
You're listening to Strange Things with Chris James. And welcome back. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. The Laredo Paranormal Research Society would like to invite you to the second annual Mall del Norte Halloween Party. October 22nd, 2016. The LPRS will be hosting a Halloween-themed car show, a case review of some of their more spectacular investigations, and the movie Goosebumps. Festivities will begin at 3 p.m. and finish up about 11. Bring the whole family to Mall del Norte, October 22nd, 2016. Now, Architeuthis is also known as the giant squid. When I was just a young'un, my dad had a tendency to suddenly announce we were going on a trip, unexpected and unprepared. One such trip took us to the Field Museum in Chicago, Illinois, and quite a long drive. While wandering about with my brother, we came upon a sight that gave me ammunition I needed to never go to sea. A giant squid was on display that had to have been about 50 feet long. In reality, it was more like about 25, but I was young and my older brother filled in the nightmare as we were driving back home. And naturally, I told everyone at school about the giant squid living in the ocean. My teacher was less than considerate. She told me and everybody else I was mistaken and there are no such things as giant squid. I wish I could go back and show her the video of Dr. Cubaderas filming the giant, non-existent squid. Oh well, that was 45 years ago. She probably won't remember. Giant squid is the second largest mollusk. Yes, it's only number 2. And one of the largest all invertebrates. It is only exceeded by the colossal squid, which may have a mantle twice as long. Reports of specimens reaching and even exceeding 66 feet are widespread, but no animals approaching this size have ever scientifically been documented. According to the giant squid expert Steve O'Shea, such lengths were likely achieved by stretching the 2 tentacles like elastic bands. Well, let's say the arms were stretched out some. Maybe the giant squid was only 45 feet long. Now think about that. A 45-foot-long creature that might just look at you the same way we look at a Whataburger. And the colossal squid is supposed to be about twice that size. That would make it 90 feet in length. The main difference between the giant squid and the colossal squid: the giant squid has suction cups lined with teeth, whereas the colossal squid has a suction cup with hooks around it. That and the size. Only 1/3 the length of a football field, that's all. The bloop. It was heard in the South Pacific Ocean in 1997. The sound was picked up by underwater hydrophones used by NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. No one was quite sure what made the sound, but most believe it wasn't any man-made source. It was more than likely an animal of some kind, a very big and a very deep animal. No creature has been connected with the sound as of yet, but they're still looking into it. The Carcharodon megalodon, also known as the giant shark. It lived in the Cenozoic era. This big boy was bigger than a Greyhound bus. Megalodon grew to about 60 feet in length, and the mouth was big enough that 5 men together in its opening. Each tooth was about a foot long. Now, most scientists say the megalodon went extinct, but who knows what all might lurk in the ocean depths. It's just too bad the Discovery Channel had to run that show during Shark Week. Anyone coming forward with a real megalodon sighting will be relegated to the crazy basket instead of being taken seriously. Is it possible anyone having encountered the giant shark was either dinner or mistook what they saw as being an orca or some other giant sea creature? Odd fact. If you'd like to look for your own megalodon tooth, head on over to the Mississippi River. A megalodon used to hang out there, or maybe they still do. When I was in the Army, my tank was named Leviathan. This was a legendary monster mentioned in the Bible numerous times. The description of this creature is just how you'd describe an ocean-going crocodile. In Australia, they refer to them as salties. The saltwater crocodile is the largest of all living reptiles, as well as the largest terrestrial predator in the world. Males of this species can reach sizes up to 20.5 feet long, and some say as much as 23 feet, and they weigh over a ton. Their hide is bulletproof, and they're deadly at both ends. And to make things worse, they're fast. Now, the fastest crocodile on record was clocked at 11 miles an hour. Imagine a ton of monster chasing you at 11 miles an hour. Just about anything in its path would be just crushed into pulp. Let's make life a bit more interesting. They can jump out of the water their full length. And like a surfer catching a wave, these Goliaths can ride currents on the ocean in order to cross large areas of open sea. These scaly monsters have been known to devour sharks and even attack things that they can't eat, often assaulting boats in the mistaken belief they are either rivals or prey, biting down with nearly 2 tons of pressure, powerful enough to crush bones or punch through an aluminum hull. The crocodile is more than just a sea monster. It's amphibious. This kind of thing makes me glad I live far from the ocean. Fast, deadly, and bulletproof. What a combination. The kraken is a legendary gigantic sea monster that dwells off the coast of Norway and Greenland. A number of authorities have postulated that the legend originated from sightings of giant squid that may have grown to 40 or 50 feet. Despite the fact that the creature's original tales was not described as having tentacles and more closely resembled a whale or a crab. The sheer size and fearsome appearance attributed to the kraken have made it a common ocean-dwelling monster in various fictional works. While the word kraken is actually Scandinavian in origin, and as such was never a part of classic Greek mythology, thanks to the 2 movies, The Clash of the Titans, in which the kraken is a massive beach that needs vanquishing, it's become synonymous with the legends of Perseus. Hollywood will do whatever they wish when it comes to legends and history. Take, for example, The Kingdom of Heaven. That was a cool movie, but The depiction of the Knights Templars as a band of religious fanatics trying to shatter the truth and provoke war with Muslims by attacking caravans is a total fabrication. No Knights Templars ever attacked any caravans. Attacking caravans is what the founder of Islam, Muhammad, engaged in regularly, as did his hand-picked apostles, the caliphs. The Knights Templars were formed primarily to protect travelers from attacks by the Muslim army. In fact, it was the slaughter of Christian pilgrims by the Muslim army in violation of early agreements of safe passage that precipitated the Crusades in the first place. And then there's that scene where Sabila takes Guy de Lusignan as her husband and king. His being a Templar made marriage a no-no. Templars were forbidden to marry or have anything to do with women. And as for King Baldwin, he did have leprosy, but he never wore a mask. He just showed off his ailment as his skin slowly rotted from his body. And still, it was a neat movie. The Lusca. This vicious half-shark, half-octopus man-eater are said to have inspired terror among fishermen and scuba divers in and around the blue holes of the Bahamas for decades. Blue holes are roughly circular, steep-walled depressions, and so named for the dramatic contrast between the dark blue, deep water of their depths and the lighter blue of the shallows around them. And seen from above, they look like a giant blue hole punched into the bed of the ocean. The deepest blue hole in the world is 987 feet deep. The Lusca is said to grow anywhere from 75 feet to 200 feet, depending on the witness's report. Although a few eyewitnesses who have survived Lusca attacks seem to agree that the above description is accurate, there are others who insist that this animal's appearance incorporates more of a squid-eel combination. Either way, the result is terrifyingly ferocious predator, which one can only assume is equally horrifying in appearance. Other descriptions also mention that it can change colors, a characteristic commonly found in smaller octopi. The habitat is rugged underwater terrain, large undersea caves, and the edge of the continental shelf, or other areas where large crustaceans are found, which is supposedly what they feed on. That and sailors and fishermen. The Lusca is described as being the head of a giant shark with the body and tentacles of a squid or an octopus. If you saw the movie Sharktopus, that's kind of the same thing that people are reporting seeing. Although the general identification of the Lusca is with a colossal octopus, it has also been described as either a multi-headed monster, a dragon-like creature, or some kind of evil spirit. The fishermen say the Lusca has been known to snatch men from their boats, dragging them down for a quick meal. And Josh Gates from Destination Truth went looking for a Lusca, and he found some unknown giant thing on sonar. The team decided to get out of there as quickly as possible. And no one wanted to hang around to see if the Lusca reports were true or not. And now, Jeremy Wade is going to have a look for himself. The TV show River Monsters will now be looking into sea monsters as well. Let's wait and see what he catches. He just might get lucky. Or unlucky, depending. Now, the Makara is a Hindu creature. Any creature that is half land animal on top, with the bottom half of a water creature, is referred to as a Makara. Say a man with the body of a seal were swimming by, the Hindus would say, that is a Makara. And now for a hard one to pronounce. The Morgor. Leave it to the Welsh to come up with words you can't pronounce. Not enough vowels. The Morgauer, the sea monster, lives in Falmouth Bay in Cornwall. The Morgauer means sea giant in Cornish. It's described as a plesiosaur-like cryptid that lives off the coast of Cornwall, which is the southernmost end of the British Isles. It has been photographed and even caught on tape. The first sighting in 1906. Various theories have been proposed as to the identity of this sea serpent, ranging from a hoax or mistaken identity to the suggestion that the creature is a surviving species of plesiosaur and that it's previously undiscovered species of a long-necked seal. In the absence of a carcass or a living specimen, explanations depend only on eyewitnesses and low-quality photographs. It resembles many other species of prehistoric water reptiles like the plesiosaur. In 1976, Mary F. sent 2 photographs of the Morgauer to the Falmouth newspaper. She said it looked like an elephant waving its trunk, but the trunk was a long neck with a very small head at the end. It resembled a snake's head. It had humps showing in the water, which moved in an unusual way. This animal frightened her. She said she didn't want to see it up any closer. She didn't like the way it moved through the water. Neither Mary F. or the negatives have been traced. Noted mystery writer and photographers, 2 reporters examined original prints and say that these photographs could very well be genuine. 1976, Tony Doc Shiles claims to have photographed the creature laying low on the water. He mentions stumpy horns, and he describes the body of an animal that was about 15 feet long. In 1985, Miss Walden was watching her husband swimming in the sea when she noticed a large silhouette with a long neck. And she didn't say if it looked like it was trying to eat her husband or whether or not she warned her husband that there was something nearby. She only said that she had spotted it. In 1987, a diver sees a head with a long neck rising about 1 meter, which is nearly 3 feet, up out of the water. And in 1999, a tape of an unidentified animal in the sea. This is said to be the last sighting of the Morgauer because he hasn't been seen in the last 17 years. Now, how about sea creatures that have been seen by thousands of people? The octopus. Octo, which means 8. The giant Pacific octopus has been seen at up to 30 feet across. Weighing in at 600 pounds, octopi can change their color by manipulating cells on their skin that make camouflage as simple as going from red to blue. We're going to take a brief pause here, and we'll be back in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere. You're listening to Arkanasa Radio. Do you have skin? Would you like to take better care of it? Call Lourdes James, independent beauty consultant, and set up an appointment. Call 723-3019. If your vision isn't what it used to be, and you're not sure you're seeing Bigfoot or just your neighbor mowing his lawn, stop on by Del Norte Optical, 107 Calle del Norte, just across the street from the Embassy Suites. You should be able to see what you're looking at. Looking for a great cup of coffee? Swing on by the Organic Man Coffee Truck, 1002 Eaterby Day, suite number 7. Not a coffee drinker? They have hot chocolate, hot tea, and sometimes muffins and cookies. It's a great place to meet your friends for a conversation or curl up in the corner with a good book. The Organic Man Coffee Trike. Life is too short to drink bad coffee.
No, don't say goodbye. Stay with us. This is Arcanelza Radio. Quédate con nosotros. Estás escuchando Arcanelza Radio.
You're listening to Strange Things with Chris James. And welcome back. We were talking about the giant Pacific octopus. The creature is amazingly intelligent. They can unscrew a jar to fetch food from inside. If left in a tank, they will work at lifting the lid so they can escape. Octopus can scurry about across the deck of a ship or across the carpet of your living room if you're not careful with them. Octopi have 3 hearts, and their blood is blue. When it's time to leave, the octopus can push water out through a small nozzle that works just like a jet engine. They feed by using a hard, bony beak, just like a parrot, and they can squeeze into an opening that the beak will fit into. These 8 arms are nothing but muscle. They can crush just about anyone they think might make a tasty snack. And fighting one would be the equivalent of wrestling with 8 pythons at one time. Each arm is lined with suckers, and each sucker is lined with teeth. Now, scientists aren't altogether sure the octopus should even be on the Earth. They look like nothing else anywhere on our planet. They move in a very creepy, flowing motion that makes you wonder how they can keep track of all 8 arms at once. Now, the giant oarfish is the world's longest bony fish. There's a photo of one being held up by a group of Navy SEALs, which measures 56 feet in length. The oarfish has one long fin that runs the length of the fish. The fin undulates like a snake, giving the fish an ability to plow through the water. Jeremy Wade is one of the few people on Earth to have seen an oarfish in its natural environment. In April 2016, Mr. Wade drove down into the darkness of the Mediterranean, where he encountered not 1 but 2 oarfish. It's a good thing they don't prey on humans, as far as we know. The fish were huge compared to Mr. Wade. If you'd like to see the encounter, just search Jeremy Wade oarfish and have a look for yourself. The sunfish, or common mola, is the heaviest known bony fish in the world. It has an average adult weight of 2,200 pounds. The species is native to tropical and temperate waters around the globe. It resembles a fish head with a tail, and its main body is flattened laterally. Sunfish can be as tall as they are long. They have a bizarre ability, or a bizarre habit, of floating along the surface of the ocean on their side and allowing birds to come down and pick the parasites from their scales. Females of the species can produce about 300 million eggs at a time. I wonder who got the job of counting them all. Sunfish fry resemble pufferfish, with long pectoral fins, tail fin, and their body is covered with spikes that go away as the fish mature. No one has claimed to have been killed by sunfish, but sailboats on occasion have collided with them and sunk as a result of slamming into a 1-ton slab of fish sunning itself on the surface. And then there's the black dragonfish. It's a rather strange-looking creature. Long and slender, it looks just like a dragon, but without any wings. They're typically found in depths of 5,000 to 7,000 feet. Among the species' more notable qualities is the distinct-looking, long, fang-like teeth. It's bioluminescent. It has a bizarre method of sexual reproduction, and its methods of hunting. Also, the fact that it greatly resembles the alien from the movie Aliens, the one designed by Giger. Like many of the fish that live within the deeper layers of the ocean, the black dragonfish can produce its own light. In contrast to nearly any other species, though, the black dragonfish can produce light in the infrared range, as well as the normal blue-green range that most other deep-sea fish make. This gives the species an enormous advantage of being able to produce light for itself that no other creature can perceive. It's infrared, which is invisible to most animals. The dragonfish is equipped with night vision goggles. You might consider him to be a tactical kind of fish. November 1st, 1983, a construction crew was working on Route 1 just north of the Golden Gate Bridge near Stinson Beach. And suddenly they spotted a creature just beneath the surface as it was approaching land. They estimated the creature's length to be about 100 feet. Its diameter looked to be about 5. Using binoculars, they watched it making coils, throwing its head above and whipping its body about. 2 years later, in San Francisco Bay, twins Robert and William Clark were sitting in a car near the seawall. They watched 2 seals swimming extremely fast across the bay. Then they noticed a large, black, snake-like animal that was chasing the 2 seals. They said the creature moved by forming its body into coils and then wiggling up and down. The animal apparently also had small, translucent fan-like fins that acted as stabilizers. Now, just this year, a fisherman in Singapore reeled in a mystery creature straight out of a science fiction movie. Ong Han Boon spotted his line was being pulled by something in the water near Sentosa, Singapore. The 54-year-old said he had a feeling he was about to snag himself something special. When the sea dweller broke the surface, the fisherman was confused by this strange animal. When I pulled it out of the water, I was completely flummoxed by what I was looking at, he told a local radio station. I've had quite a few odd things come out of the ocean, but I've never seen anything like this before in my life. It had all those arms that were waving about. Twisting and curling its alien-like body, the creature looks like some kind of a mutant starfish. The thing has dozens of arms or legs, each branching into smaller arms or legs. Boone captured this bizarre, freakish movement in a remarkable video, which he posted online in hope that someone could identify this creature. I've asked all my friends, and none of them know. All my internet searches have not turned up anything that looks like this, he said. So if no one can identify it, then I guess I'm right, Boone said. It's either an alien, or I've discovered a new species of mutant sea creature, which would not surprise him with all the pollution they've been pumping into the water these days. If you want to look at this creature, simply search for Alien Sea Creature Singapore and check this thing out for yourself. Warning, it's very creepy to look at. You can also check out Strange Things on Facebook, Strange Things with Chris James on Facebook. I've posted a video of the creature there as well. The thing is just plain creepy to watch. Next time you're near a large body of water, keep your eyes on the surface and keep your camera handy. You just might have the very next sea monster sighting. Now, next Saturday, we're going to be talking about a little-known subject, the Montauk projects, and some of the beyond belief connections to other odd occurrences. So tune in next Saturday, October 8th, and we'll be talking about the Montauk mystery. Until then, I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. See y'all later.
Are you coming to the tree where they strung up a man, the same murder three. Strange things that happen here, how stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree?